Hey, hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're diving into the option for buying a home with rent to own. If you're looking to buy, but you aren't quite ready to commit financially or need work on your credit, then rent to own could be the option for you. Now, y'all already know how I feel about rent to own, but I'm here to give you honest, neutral opinion, okay? Or advice so that you can, not even advice or opinion, honest information so you can make the best determination for you and what's going on with your circumstance. So we're going to go over pros and cons, steps you can take to decide if this option makes sense for you, and just some tips to look out for so you can make sure you're not being taken advantage of in the process. So, what is rent to own? Rent to own option is a rental agreement option where you can purchase a house that you rent. These contracts will typically come in two different forms. So you have the option to do the lease option agreement where you can buy the house at the end of the lease, or you can do the lease purchase agreement where you're obligated to buy the house at the end of the agreement. So one is the option to buy, the other is the obligation to buy. You want to make sure you understand this when you walk in. So with the rent to own, each month a portion of your rent goes towards the future purchase of the home. So as an example for numbers, let's say that the rent is really $1,500 a month. You would pay an additional $500, which would go into like an escrow or a savings account for the down payment towards the home as an installment loan for home ownership. That's typically how that looks. That amount can vary. That's just an example. But I want to make sure that you understand what you're getting into. So let's discuss some of the pros of rent to own. Some of the pros to rent to own: it gives you a chance to build your credit. So if your credit score isn't where it needs to be to qualify for a mortgage, then rent to own can give you the opportunity and the time to improve it. But it's important that while you're renting it, that you actually focus on paying down your debts, that you focus on establishing good payment history, and that you save for any additional home ownership fees. Don't try to get in here and just act like that it's like renting. You need to do what you need to do. Number two, it locks in the purchase price. For many rent to own contracts, you get to lock in the home's purchase price at the start of the agreement. This can be a really big advantage if property values rise over time, but you still need time to try to figure it out. So you'll still be able to live in the home for the original agreed upon price. I would add a line to make sure that the purchase price of the house matched an appraisal. Number three, you get to try it before you buy it. So you get to live in the home in the neighborhood before committing to home ownership. A realtor can't tell you if a neighborhood is safe. So living in it is going to help you understand. Be able to move on without a long-term commitment if you feel like that you don't like the community that you're in, though this depends on your contract terms. Okay, so just make sure that you understand when you go into it. So what are some pros and cons? So although there are some great benefits to getting to test the community, working on your credit, you might come in contact with higher costs. Rent to own properties can have higher monthly payments. I gave the example earlier than most of your standard rentals. With the extra money going towards the home's purchase price, some contracts are even required you to pay an upfront fee, which can be non-refundable. I've heard of anything from a few thousand, like $3,000 to 10% of the purchase price. So you have to determine if it's worth the risk of you missing out on that money. Second, which let's get into it, the risk of losing the money. If you decide not to buy the home and you can't secure the financing at the end of your lease period, then you could lose any option or any of the money that you've already put out through the extra rent and possibly that deposit. So this can add up to thousands of dollars if you don't complete the purchase. So it's important that if you go into this, that you are serious about this. Okay. Number three, unclear ownership. Since renting, repairs, maintenance, all the responsibilities of this is going to be on you, it can be tricky. So in some agreements, this is laid out. You might be responsible for certain repairs, even though you didn't yet own the home. So make sure that you read through your contract carefully to understand who covers what, when, and where, and at what rate. Cover yourself. So these are some action steps. If you should decide to move forward with rent to own, I just want you to make sure that you have considered the pros and cons. So now that we've talked about them, let's get into some of the action steps that you could take to figure out if rent to own option is good for you. Y'all know if I'm coming, we're going to come with some action steps. Number one, I want you to understand the contract. Every rent to own agreement has different things. So I want to make sure that you understand all the terms. You know, does this lock in the purchase price? Who covers the maintenance? Okay. Is this the option? Is the fees that I put out, are they refundable? Have a real estate attorney or an agent go over this with you if you're unsure. Okay. Every state doesn't have an attorney, but you can find one. Number two, evaluate your finances and credit. Review your finances and credit report. Ask yourself, if I'm likely to improve my credit and save for my down payment within this lease option period. If you have 3 years to do it, are you going to do it? You know, if you're not confident that you're going to be willing to adjust your lifestyle to keep doing what you got to do on the rent to own, then you might just want to go the traditional route and save the money that you need. If you need help with credit repair, the links are below. Number 3, research the property and neighborhood. You should do this anyway, even if it's not rent to own, but take the time to research the home in the area you're going to be living in. Look at property values, crime rates, amenities. Remember, a rent to own contract is more of a commitment than you think. It's not like a regular rental. Like if you get mad, you can't just leave. So make sure it's a place that you want to call home for a long-term period of time. Number 4, talk to an attorney or realtor. I cannot stress this enough. People think that realtors are out here just trying to get money. That's not the deal. We're out here just trying to make sure that it's okay for you. Get an attorney. They're going to help you weigh the risk and the benefits based on your financial situation and what you share and your goals, because what's important, your goals. So I hope that I have given you enough to figure out if rent to own is going to be the stepping stone that you need to take towards home ownership. And I understand that it might fit for you, but it might not fit for everyone. So take the time to do your research. Make sure you're fully informed before committing to a rent to own agreement and that you've considered everything that comes along with it. So as usual, if you found this video to be helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button for more tips, and comment below if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.